Arsenal's two biggest transfer targets this summer, Dani Olmo and Anthony Gordon. A deep look at who Arsenal want, what it will cost, and whether it can actually happen. Let me ask you something straight up. What does Arsenal need right now more than anything else? Goals, creativity, players who can unlock a defence and change a game in the blink of an eye, players who show up when the pressure is highest and the stakes are biggest. We have seen this Arsenal team grow over the last few seasons under Mikel Arteta. We have seen them push Manchester City hard. We have seen them play some of the most exciting football in the Premier League. But if you are being totally honest with yourself, something is still missing. There is still a gap between where Arsenal are and where they want to be. And it seems like Arteta and the people running things at the Emirates know this too. Because this summer, Arsenal are going after two players who could change everything. Two players who could take this team from nearly there to actually there. Their names are Dani Olmo and Anthony Gordon. One plays for Barcelona, the other plays for Newcastle United. Both are being seriously looked at by Arsenal ahead of the summer transfer window, and between them they would cost close to 155 million euros. So the question is simple, are they worth it? Can Arsenal actually get them, and what would it mean for the club if they did? Let us break it all down step by step in a way that makes sense for every single person in this community. Who is Dani Olmo and why does Arsenal want him? If you watched the Euro 2024 tournament last summer, you know exactly who Dani Olmo is. He was one of the best players in the whole competition. He played for Spain and he was sharp, clever and impossible to ignore. He scored goals, he made things happen, he won the tournament. He is the kind of attacking midfielder who makes everyone around him look better. Right now, Dani Olmo plays for FC Barcelona. He is 27 years old. He plays in the attacking midfield position. Barcelona have him on a contract that runs all the way until 2030, which means the Spanish club are in no rush to sell him. They are not desperate. They are not in a position where they have to let him go. They have the power in this situation. The reported asking price for Olmo is 60 million euros. Now, that might sound like a fair deal for a player of his quality, especially when you compare it to what some other clubs pay for players who are not half as good. But here is the catch. Barcelona have made it very clear that Arsenal will need to pay the full asking price if they want him. There is no room for a discount, no back and forth negotiation where Arsenal can try to bring the price down. Barcelona are not desperate and they are not going to act like they are. So why is Arsenal interested in him at all? Well, think about what Olmo brings to the table. He is a technically gifted player who can play in tight spaces, receive the ball under pressure and create chances out of nothing. He has vision, he has energy, he has the ability to play in between the lines, which is exactly the kind of player Arteta loves to work with. Arsenal have looked at his situation at Barcelona and there is one thing that stands out. Olmo has not been getting regular starts at the Nou Camp. He is not always in the first 11. He has been on the bench more than a player of his quality should be. And for a player who wants to play at the highest level every single week, that has to be frustrating. Arsenal spotted that. They saw a window of opportunity. They thought maybe this guy wants more playing time. Maybe he wants a fresh start somewhere he will be the main man. And so they went in with an approach. But Barcelona turned them down flat. And Olmo himself said he is committed to the club. He wants to stay in Barcelona. He sees his future there. So does that mean the Olmo deal is dead? Not necessarily. Football transfers are strange things. A player can say one thing today and do something completely different 3 months later. We have seen it happen 100 times before. Situations change. Relationships between players and clubs can change. If Olmo continues to be left out of the Barcelona starting lineup for the rest of this season, his feelings about staying might change too. At 27, Olmo is entering the best years of his career. These are the years that define a player. These are the years where he should be playing every week at the highest level in the biggest games. If Barcelona cannot give him that, then the appeal of a move to Arsenal, where he would likely be a key player under one of the best coaches in Europe right now, could become very attractive very quickly. The price of 60 million euros is also not out of reach for Arsenal. The club has shown a willingness to spend big when they believe in a player. And Arteta has a strong record of developing attacking midfielders and getting the best out of them. So the dream is alive, even if it is complicated. Who is Anthony Gordon and why is this deal looking more real now? Let us talk about Anthony Gordon. And if the Olmo situation is the complicated one, the Gordon situation is the one that feels like it could actually happen and happen soon. Anthony Gordon is 25 years old. He is a left winger who plays for Newcastle United. He is English, which matters when you think about Premier League squad rules and what it means for a club to have homegrown players available. He is quick, he is direct, he is strong on the ball, and he has a real eye for goal. In a system like Arteta's, where width and forward runs are so important, Gordon could be a perfect fit. The reported fee that Arsenal have put on the table for Gordon is 95 million euros. That is a serious amount of money. That is a statement of intent. That is Arsenal saying, we want this player and we are willing to back that up with real commitment. And here is why this deal feels different from the Olmo one. There are several things working in Arsenal's favour. First, Gordon himself wants to leave Newcastle. He wants to play at the very top level. He wants Champions League football. He wants to compete for titles. And the simple truth is that Newcastle are not in a position to give him that right now. They missed out on Champions League qualification this season, and that has hit the club hard. It has affected their ability to attract players, to retain players, and to keep the squad together. Gordon's representatives have already spoken to Arsenal. They have reportedly told the club that the player would find the idea of working under Arteta very appealing. That is a massive sign. When a player's camp reaches out and says he is interested, that changes everything. That is not just a rumour, that is a real green light. Second, Newcastle themselves are in a position where they need to sell. This summer, the club is going to have to raise money to rebuild the squad. They need to bring in new players, and to do that, they need to sell. Gordon is their most valuable asset. He is the player who would generate the most money if sold. And at 95 million euros, Arsenal are offering exactly the kind of number that makes it very hard for Newcastle to say no. Now, when Arsenal first came in with that bid, Newcastle's initial response was that there was no deal to be had. They said Gordon was not for sale, but then something interesting happened. Reports came out saying that Newcastle's position might be changing, especially at the price Arsenal are willing to pay. That shift in language is very telling. Clubs that are truly not interested in selling do not say their position is changing. They just say no, full stop. So right now, the Gordon situation is moving. It is developing. It is the kind of transfer story that could have a very different headline in a few weeks' time. What would these players actually bring to Arsenal? Let us think about this from a football perspective for a moment. Let us forget the money and the transfer talk and just think about what these players would actually mean on the pitch. Dani Olmo coming into Arsenal would give Arteta a genuine creative option in the number 10 area, someone who can receive the ball in tight spaces, turn quickly and play killer passes, someone who can also get into the box and score goals. Arsenal have lacked that kind of player. They have had hard-working midfielders and brilliant defenders, but the creative spark in the final third has sometimes been missing. Olmo could fix that. Anthony Gordon on the left wing would give Arsenal directness, pace and a constant threat. He is the kind of player defenders hate facing because he never stops running and he is always looking to get in behind. He would give Arsenal another dimension in attack and free up space for other players. He is also only 25, so he is not a short-term signing. He would be a long-term investment in the future of the club. Now, here is a question for you, the Olivia Sports Arsenal community. If Arsenal could only sign one of these two players this summer, who would you choose? Would you go for Olmo, the more technically gifted player who might be harder to get? Or would you go for Gordon, the younger, more dynamic winger whose deal seems to be moving in the right direction? Think about it, because the answer tells you a lot about what kind of football you want to see from this Arsenal team going forward. The money side of things, can Arsenal afford both 60 million euros for Olmo, 95 million euros for Gordon? Add those together and you are talking about 155 million euros in one summer. That is not a small number. That is a number that would make headlines across football. But here is something worth thinking about. Arsenal are one of the biggest clubs in the world. They have a large stadium. They have a massive global fan base. They have commercial deals and sponsorships that bring in serious money. And the owners at Arsenal have shown before that they are willing to back Arteta in the transfer market when they believe the right players are available. We have also seen Arsenal sell players before to raise funds. If the club moves on from some of the players who are not in Arteta's long-term plans, that money can go towards funding new signings. Football clubs do not just spend, they also reinvest. But even if Arsenal cannot do both deals in one window, the priority right now seems very clear. Gordon is the more realistic target. The deal is further along. The player wants to come. The selling club is open to it at the right price. If Arsenal get Gordon done this summer, that would already be a very good piece of business. Olmo, on the other hand, might be a story that runs into next year. It might take one more season of limited game time at Barcelona for him to change his mind. These things sometimes take time to develop, and Arsenal seem like a club that is patient enough to wait for the right moment. What this means for the bigger picture at Arsenal, there is something bigger going on here than just 2 transfer targets. What this tells us is that Arsenal are in a phase of real ambition. They are not just trying to stay in the top 4. They are not playing it safe. They are going after big names, spending big money, and trying to take the next step as a club. Under Arteta, Arsenal have gone from a club that was drifting without direction to a club that is genuinely competing at the top of English football and making serious noise in Europe too. The foundations are strong, the young players have developed, the team has an identity and a style of play that everyone recognises. But to win the Premier League, to go deep in the Champions League, to become the dominant force in English football again, Arsenal need to add that extra quality. They need players who can perform at the very highest level in the biggest moments and on the grandest stages. Dani Olmo and Anthony Gordon are exactly those kinds of players. Olmo has already proven himself on the international stage. He won Euro 2024 with Spain. He has played big football and he knows how to handle it. Gordon is still growing as a player, but he is at the age where good players become great players when given the right environment and the right coaching. Arteta has shown time and time again that he can take players and make them better. He has done it with Bukayo Saka, with Gabriel Martinelli, with Martin Odegaard, with so many others. If he gets his hands on Gordon and Olmo, who knows what he can build? The risks, what could go wrong? Now, let us be fair and balanced here, because no transfer story is all good news. There are always risks. There are always things that could go wrong. And as Arsenal fans, we know better than most that transfers do not always work out the way we hope. With Dani Olmo, the biggest risk is simple. He might not come. He has already said he wants to stay at Barcelona. Barcelona have rejected an approach. And even if he does eventually come available, other clubs will be watching too. Arsenal are not the only ones keeping an eye on him. If they wait too long, they might find that someone else has already moved in and done the deal. There is also the question of whether Olmo is the right fit for the Premier League. He has been brilliant in La Liga and in international football, but the Premier League is a different beast. It is faster, it is more physical, it is more demanding week after week. Some players who look incredible in other leagues take time to adjust to England. Others never quite do. There is no guarantee that Olmo would hit the ground running. With Anthony Gordon, the risk is the price tag. 95 million euros is a lot of money for any player, even a very good one. At that price, the expectations would be enormous. He would need to perform at an extremely high level from the very start. Any slow start or dip in form would be scrutinised heavily. That kind of pressure is hard to manage, especially for a young player still developing. There is also a risk that Newcastle simply dig their heels in and refuse to sell, regardless of what Arsenal offer. Football clubs are not always rational. Sometimes a club decides a player is simply not for sale, no matter the price, and that is the end of it. We have seen it happen before, and we could see it happen here too. But risks are part of football. They are part of every transfer. The clubs that manage risk well and still find ways to bring in top talent are the ones that end up winning things. And right now, Arsenal look like a club that is learning how to do exactly that. A message to the Olivia Sports Arsenal community. This is the best time to be an Arsenal fan. No, really, it is. Think about where the club was 5 or 6 years ago. Think about the uncertainty, the poor results, the questions about direction, and look at where things are now. A team that plays with confidence, a manager with a vision, a squad full of young, exciting talent, and a club that is going into the summer transfer window with real intent. The Dani Olmo and Anthony Gordon stories are just the beginning. The summer window has not even opened yet. There could be more names coming. There could be more big news on the way. So here is what I want to know from all of you in this community. What do you think about these 2 targets? Are you excited about Gordon? Do you think Arsenal should keep pushing for Olmo, even though he said he wants to stay at Barcelona? Is 95 million euros too much to spend on a winger? Should Arsenal sign both or focus all their energy on just one? Drop your thoughts, share your opinions. This is your space to talk football and to be honest about what you want to see from this Arsenal side. There are no wrong answers here, only real conversations between people who love this club. Because at the end of the day, that is what this community is all about. Final thoughts, the summer that could change everything. The summer window is coming. And for Arsenal, it is shaping up to be one of the most important windows in a long time. Not because of pressure, not because the club is in trouble, but because there is a real chance here to take something that is already very good and make it truly great. Dani Olmo would bring creativity, technical quality, and the ability to unlock defences that other players cannot. Anthony Gordon would bring pace, energy, directness, and the hunger of someone who wants to prove he belongs at the very top of the game. Together, they would give Arsenal an attack that is hard to predict, hard to defend against, and very exciting to watch. The Gordon deal looks like it is getting closer. The Olmo story is still developing. Whatever happens in the coming weeks and months, one thing is clear: Arsenal are not sitting still. They are not playing small. They are thinking big. And they are going after the players who can help them reach the level they believe they belong at. Whether it is one of them, both of them, or neither of them, the ambition is there. The direction is clear. And for every single one of us who follows this club, there is every reason to be excited about what is coming. Stay close to Olivia Sports. We will keep you updated on every twist, every turn, and every development as it happens, because this story is far from over. Come on, Arsenal.